Like this one here?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Sir, that's very respectful.
how's it going? I am a sir, actually.
Yeah.
Sir, some clever thing that I can't think of at the moment.
You all ready?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get this started.
So the timer's on, so I'll let you know we're done.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So, hey Chris.
Hi, Tyler.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Doing all right.
Excellent.
Well,
What are we shooting right now?
welcome to another Great Stories Pop Culture Talk. This is my first attempt at an intro. This is very exciting for me. I'm shaking. This is awesome. This is power. This power you feel
have
when
the
you just
power.
get to introduce an entire segment.
Bring the thunder.
Huh. So we're talking about Wandavision, which admittedly I watched almost all of just today. I watched the first
Binging's okay.
episode and a half when it first came out, and I'll
Yeah.
admit I did not have very much interest. And here's why.
Okay.
It starts off very slow, and it's very like, where are they gonna go with this? But as the show goes on, it tends to make sense. So I
Yes.
typically have this rule when I'm watching something, I give it 3 episodes.
Yep.
And the only reason why I didn't give WandaVision 3 episodes, which by the 3rd episode you're definitely hooked, was because I was watching it with a group of people and everyone was like, yeah, let's watch something else. So, but because this is
Who are these people? Do we need to call some people?
I'm not gonna
I'm not gonna
name drop
reveal
them.
for them right now and
Yeah,
call them out.
specifically
Dox them
because
on our program.
I don't really see Ben all that much, and I hang out with Brandon a lot, and I don't want them to feel bad
Of
about.
course.
So I'm not gonna mention who they are.
Absolutely.
But it was actually pretty fantastic. So I'm glad. I'm actually kind of glad that I waited, because being able to watch it all out in one go. I mean, granted, it was like 5 hours.
Yep.
So it really felt like a very long movie.
Yes.
But I'm kind of glad that I did it that way. And the reason why, and the thing that I kind of want to preface this whole conversation with, is that before Captain Marvel came out, when there was a lot of talk about where the cinematic universe was going to be going,
Yep.
I strongly felt like they were underutilizing Wanda Maximoff. Knowing a bit of the comic history, I knew that she was one of the Omega level mutants, one of the single most powerful beings in the entire Marvel universe,
Yep.
pretty much secondary to Franklin Richards. She literally has the ability to alter reality, and all we really got to see her do up to this point was like manipulate some objects with some magenta colored magic.
Okay. Well,
So-
she did kind of kick Thanos' butt
And
all
yes,
over the place.
yes, she did. And but again, remember, this was prior to seeing Captain Marvel.
Oh, prior to okay.
So I
fair.
didn't even know what
Yep.
role she was going to play in that
Right.
as well.
Oh,
So,
so
at
you're
this
talking about the
point,
crazy episode when
Yeah.
she was a Hydra. Yep. Okay.
So,
I gotcha.
so I felt like she was very underutilized. And I remember specifically having a conversation online, and I brought up, like, they need to make a movie that has Wanda Maximoff as, like, kind of her origin, but not the origin of her character, the origin of her becoming Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Because at this point, she wasn't given her Marvel name yet. She was just Wanda Maximoff. She wasn't the Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
And so I was like, I would like to see a film in which she has to deal with the fact that she's lost her brother.
Yep.
She just watched the love of her life die
Yep.
twice. Once at her own hand, and then a second at the hands of Thanos, completely outside of her ability to stop.
Yep.
Her powers are growing out of her control. She's not sure how to wield them properly, but they're growing because she is as powerful in the MCU as she is in the comics. It just hasn't awoken yet.
Yep.
And so she has to contend with the fact that her powers going, out of her control. She's dealing with the loss of her brother, the loss of the love of her life, the loss of pretty much anything and everything that she knew. And to watch her go through this, develop through this, and grow as a character and become the Scarlet Witch, I thought would make a really great movie. But they didn't make it into a movie. they made it into a show.
That's right.
Because that's exactly what I got throughout the course of this entire series. And I gotta say, I couldn't be happier with it. I really couldn't.
I think the show was the ideal way to do it because a lot of the characters have had several movies where we've had pieces of them develop over time.
Yeah.
You know, you've got plenty of Iron Man, you've got plenty of Captain America, you've got even some of the characters that were woven into these movies, like Hawkeye and stuff, have had time to develop slowly, even though they haven't had their own solo movies.
Yeah, they have
Black
enough
Widow.
time between, the different movies that they do show up in that we get to see their character arcs as well.
Yep. And Scarlet Witch had not been afforded that the way she's been introduced, and so for her to get that character to get, basically 5 hours of screen time to really give you that
Really
origin story,
focused
and
on
to-
her.
really focused on her and her psyche, and how did she come to be in Hydra to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff, and it all got addressed, and it really kind of closed the loop on a lot of questions that people had, and I got to say that for me, I know a lot of people were turned off, kind of like the group that you were watching with, who shall not be named again.
Of course. Solidarity.
Say again. That they were thrown off by the whole sitcom presentation, right? This Nick at Night type of feel, the laugh track.
Which all gets addressed beautifully.
And it does. And I think that, a lot of times, and I've said it to people, give it time. You have to wait. You have to see. There is a plan here.
Sure, you're giving it the 3 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just discard it. But I understand also we're spoiled in this day and age that we binge view everything.
Yeah.
We've forgotten how to watch episodal TV, right?
Agreed.
So a lot of people just won't give it that opportunity. But I mean, everything just kind of fit together. I mean, you see the progression first of all. I have to say it's like a clever presentation. They've done something with this character, and they didn't give you just a straight out superhero movie.
No, they
a
didn't.
paint by numbers thing. I mean, how many movies have been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe thus far, where you could actually truly do something new and interesting, and
Kind of go off the beaten path with it.
yeah, exactly. Give it to us a different way, and I know they tried with New Mutants.
Didn't
They
end up
kind of
seeing
gave
it.
more of a horror movie type of
Right.
feel to it, that kind of thing. And I think that's what the genre has to do. They need to find different ways to tell these stories, because I mean, really, it's going to start feeling like you're just rehashing.
Exactly.
And this was something that was incredibly creative. It also, just from a more of a actor standpoint, you get to see some real acting chops.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And see, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany do something and work with different styles, because they had to go from a 1950s style Dick Van Dyke type of show to the 60s and into the 70s with Brady, a Brady Bunch style type of thing, and with each iteration is a different style of acting almost.
Yep.
And they had to
You get to see
recreate
that.
themselves.
You get to see the change between each episode with the characters, but also how they fundamentally are the same.
Yes.
So, Elizabeth Olsen moves through different accents. She moves through different, ways of talking.
Yep.
She does this thing through the first half of the show where whenever she walks around, she kind of has her hands up, kind of like the older style,
Yep.
60s and 70s.
Yeah, just the
shows,
mannerisms,
exactly.
the leans and the exaggerated movements and
And when you come through to the other side, it becomes more grounded, more realistic.
Yes.
You no longer feel like you're watching some old sitcom.
No.
You now feel like you're watching a real situation with these characters.
yes, exactly.
And it's absolutely incredible. Paul Bettany takes the cake every single time. I'm a huge fan of his. He has such a range of abilities when
Yeah.
it comes to acting.
Yep.
And this was no different. Like, and especially when he starts to become more aware of what's going on, and he starts getting a little bit more aggressive about it, and like he's got that very, very commanding, booming voice that almost demands respect, but
Yes.
in a way that is still like tender and like, you know, you're not afraid of it. You just feel more compelled, like maybe he's got a point, maybe I should listen. Like he's just got that presence to him.
Sure.
Absolutely love it. So the two of them together,
Yep.
absolutely great.
Yep.
Again, I'm a huge fan of Elizabeth Olsen too. So
Yeah, and I really didn't really know a lot of her stuff outside of you know, the Marvel cinematic stuff. I honestly, I would be challenged right now to even name another thing that she's been in.
Godzilla.
Okay, thank you. All right, but maybe that's my old age. I'm not sure.
She's done a number of things.
But
She's usually pretty good.
she was really well cast for this role, you know, and I know that now. Like I wasn't really sure of that before, you know, but this series, in spite of its, you know, the Nick at Night, like the sitcom, the laugh track, all the stuff that's happening, there's a real like another side to it that as it goes, that's really sinister.
Yeah.
Like there were some moments in there that are really truly creepy, you know.
Very dark.
Very dark and creepy and kind of disconcerting, you know, and I love the mystery that it wove into, you know, into the early episodes. As that mystery is revealed, then it kind of transforms into
You get more information of
into
what's
more
going
of this
on.
dramatic, you know, like psychological profile,
Yep.
right? And it continues, and then we haven't broached the subject yet of Catherine Hahn's role.
Yep.
Catherine Hahn is, you know, she's someone who is an incredible supporting actress.
She's
She's fantastic in most
I don't
everything
think I've
she's
ever
in.
seen her in a leading role, but at
No.
this point, you could, just from everything that I've seen that she's done,
Mm-hmm.
like I wouldn't be surprised if she picked up a couple lead roles here and there, because she has a lot of talent, especially coming to the forefront with this character that she had for WandaVision,
Yes. Agatha. Yep.
Agatha Harkness.
Harkness. Yep.
And the beauty of it is she's at some points forced to jump between two very different personality types.
Yes.
When she has her role as like the character within this world that Wanda has created, and then her actual like personality, her actual character as this incredibly powerful witch
Yes.
that has been around since the Salem witch trials. And just how you find out how she's manipulated everything that's been going on since the
Yes.
very beginning. It was very subversive. I did not see
Incredibly.
it coming at all, especially when you get that scene where she's stuck in the car, she can't go anywhere, she can't really move, and she only gets free of it because Vision breaks her of the connection for a moment, and it's like you don't even suspect that there's anything.
That she's really played that whole thing the whole time.
Yeah, it literally came down to the moment where Wanda goes into her house, and she's, you know, just kind of like relaxing after having the conversation with another character that we definitely have to bring up, Monica Rambeau. And she looks around and she's like, wait a second. She sees like her children's like the food that was left out, and like she's like, where are my kids?
Yep.
And then it's the moment she says that I'm like, there's a completely different side
Yeah.
to this character, Agnes.
Yep.
And then the whole show just flips on its head
It
right
does.
there and then,
It
and
does.
it's draws you in.
Yep.
There was a couple other like really awesome moments too, like the return of her brother Quicksilver, but it's the wrong Quicksilver.
Love the fact that so a little nod to the Fox
Yep.
films here. You know, they give you so many nuggets, right, of like little things just kind of interweave and just like they're Easter eggs, right?
Yep.
And honestly, I didn't even pick up on the fact because I discarded a lot of the Fox mutant movies
Right.
from my memory, because it's like I'm trying to basically separate myself from that to prepare for the introduction of these characters into Marvel Cinematic Universe proper.
Yep.
You know, and then someone was like, "That's Quicksilver from the Fox movie." I'm like,
From X-Men.
like that was brilliant.
Yeah,
that's
I
absolutely
thought it was
brilliant that they bring in a
hilarious.
fake Quicksilver, manufactured, you think, from the mind of Wanda Maximoff, but even she is caught by surprise when,
Like, she knows it's her brother, but also
like, you're supposed to
she
be my
knows
brother,
it's
but
not her brother.
right, exactly, like, and there's like a lot of things you look back on it now and you go, oh my gosh, yeah, like that makes sense now, right? Yeah, there were lots of little things there, lots of like interconnectivity to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You mentioned Monica Rambeau, and
Yes.
definitely we'll get to that. But even like the FBI role, is it Jimmy Woo?
Yep, Jimmy Woo.
I mean, right away when they brought him on, I'm like, Ant-Man. You know,
Yep.
like he had him under house arrest. He had, Paul Rudd's character under house arrest, and it's like that's so brilliant that they actually took that little bit role and made it something more.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And-
think they took a lot of the smaller aspects, the
Yeah.
kind of behind the main set of the other Marvel properties,
Yep.
and they're like, let's do more with this.
Kat Dennings'
Oh,
appearance.
as soon as she appeared, I was like, hey, look, it's Darcy. She's back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. And I actually had to explain, because we were watching it with Derek.
Yep.
And Derek hasn't really seen many of the Marvel movies. He hasn't seen a
Yep.
single Thor.
Yep.
So I had to explain to him who she was.
Yep.
And but it was great to see her back in a role.
Yeah.
I was very surprised to see her there, but
Yeah.
she was pivotal to unwrapping the mystery behind what was going on. Like,
was.
she's a very important character, and it's great for them to give another position like that to a character that is otherwise just a supporting character.
And just to introduce the Monica Rambeau character a little bit, and to talk about that, it's actually, she's in one of my favorite moments in the entire series, and that is the snap back moment. The episode where she appears back in the hospital when all the
Yeah.
snapback
Oh, that
happens.
was incredible.
What a great episode
Just
that was.
getting to watch, because I mean, in Endgame, we get to see that everyone has returned.
Yes.
But we don't get to see exactly how that looks in the
Yeah.
moment. But there you see her, she's sitting in a chair,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to see all the little pieces of her material being
Yeah.
slowly recollecting and reforming, the exact opposite of what happened during the snap, where everyone is slowly like disintegrating.
Yes.
There, she was reintegrating.
That's right.
And you get to see it happen as she's now running through the hospital, trying to figure out what's going on, figure out where her mother is.
Yep.
Not knowing what happened, because for her, no time has passed.
Right.
She has no idea that it's 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to see all these people start materializing, and the whole hospital is thrown into chaos.
Yes.
Because they have no idea what to do now with
Sure.
all these people
All
that
these
are just
people.
popping up.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely awesome.
Just you get to see like the MCU is just, you can tell that the Disney Plus shows now are really going to mean something. You know, we heard the lip service that, oh yeah, these things are going to be isolated stories, but they're going to mean something. They're gonna actually feed the cinematic properties.
Yeah.
In a way, and honestly, like I am now like I feel very like you just justified everything with what
Much
you're doing.
more confident
on
in the fourth phase
Yep.
of the MCU.
Excellent, 100%. I know we're kind of running short on time,
Yeah.
and so let's briefly just kind of discuss the Monica Rambeau character, because she obviously is going to
Yeah.
have a larger role.
So she gets brought in
Mm-hmm.
because she just recently was brought back. She returns to SWORD, which is an organization that was built by her mother
Yep.
after her mother's experience during Captain Marvel,
Yep.
thus giving some justification to the existence of that film.
Yep.
So her mother was the one who built this up. She was an agent for them, and now this other guy, Tylor Howard, right?
Tylor
Hayward.
Hayward, yes.
He is now the one of the head of who is the head of this organization, and they deal with more of what's happening in space and like what we're doing about like threats up there.
Yep.
And she was one of their agents that would constantly go up into space to, you know, work on stuff out there. But because of her situation, she's been grounded. So she's has to remain terrestrial, which was actually an extension of her own mother's orders, and because her mom had a kind of looked ahead, and in case those who were snapped away ever came back. And so she's brought in, and she's immediately put on this mission to basically figure out what's going on with this this town and these missing persons. And that's how she ends up getting involved. But what makes her different than other characters is on multiple occasions, she ends up having to move through this barrier that separates the world that Wanda has been constructing with our world, and it's not an illusion.
Right.
She's actually, because Wanda's powers are being realized, she's creating new reality.
Sure. It's, the fabric, the weave is like,
And it reconstructs Monica's body.
Yes.
And she kind of gains powers. Now, by the end of the show, everything that has been made was unmade, but we don't know quite yet if Monica Rambeau has lost the powers that she had gained through her genetics being reconstructed from moving through the barrier. And so we kind of get this like hint that she's going to have a much larger role as a hero, which is a throwback to the fact that she is one of the characters in the comic history that held the title of Captain Marvel.
Right.
So I'm kind of interested now in seeing like what bigger role she's going to play. We get a little scene at the very end of the last episode where she's approached by a Skrull who is undercover in a high position in the government. And she's told that she's been requested by someone, we don't know who yet. And she says where, and the Skrull points up.
Just points up.
So it's gonna be interesting for sure.
So to wrap up, you know, where all this goes, what WandaVision is leading us to, it seems to be that the two extra scenes that we get at the end of the show probably lead to different storylines.
So we have a storyline that's going to hook off with Scarlet Witch, where she is slowly learning all of this magic that she didn't know about before.
Right.
And then also with Monica Rambeau, who's going to have a bigger role. And then even there's a third one, because if you remember, during this last episode, Vision's true body was reconstructed.
And we don't know what ended up happening with the new version of Vision.
Yeah, so we have this fabricated version that was created by Wanda, and you have the real Vision, and neither of them are the true Vision because the Mind Stone doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But the fabricated Vision unlocks the memories that was stashed away in the old Vision's reconstructed body.
Correct.
And now the old Vision, who was brought back online with the sole purpose of destroying this fabricated Vision, now has memories of what actually happened to him. And he realizes he's the true Vision, and then he takes off, and we get nothing more from that.
Right.
So we have Vision is back to some degree that we have no idea what they're going to do with. Scarlet Witch is now a fully realized Scarlet Witch who is learning to control her powers and what her true potential is. And we have Monica Rambeau, who formerly I have claimed was way underutilized and basically to the point where I was just like, they did her a disservice. And now she is a full...
And now she's thrust right into
it's
very potentially a major storyline. So we've got 3 major Marvel storylines that are coming out of this. And that is exciting. And it bodes well for the upcoming Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is supposedly premiering, I believe, in two weeks.
Yeah, I think so.
From the time of this filming.
Of this recording,
By the time you see this, maybe it'll be a shorter time frame. But
you'll already be a couple episodes in.
Maybe, we'll see. But we hope you enjoyed the show. We'd love to hear your comments
Yep.
about WandaVision, what you thought of it. If you bailed on it and you decide after watching this, maybe give it another shot.
Yeah, 'cause
hopefully we
there's so
convinced
much.
you to give it a chance. But we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you all soon. Thank you very much.
That was